Alrighty. Hey girl. Today we're going to be jumping in to, first I'm going to start talking about the whole cycle syncing stuff. I'm going to then move into a synchronicity that happened this past week that was significant. Some decisions that I've made, some changes I've made in my taking of action. And I do want to also touch on dream interpretation because that has been a pretty significant part of my journey. That was very significant leading up to the decision of me leaving my job. And then recently it's been showing me some things. And then lastly, I do want to talk about how much action to take, in my opinion, from what I've been exploring along my journey. That's been a big part of me figuring out like how much action are we supposed to take and what's aligned and whoop, whoop, wop, wop. So, sorry, I was just trying to figure out if this is a spider web. Is it? Spiders have no respect. I'm really tired of them being in my home. Anyways, moving on. So yeah, jumping into the cycle thing. Notice last week's vlog was only like 30 something minutes. I think that's a record. Anyways, I have been noticing something. So today we're on a beautiful follicular morning. We are above water. The servers are on. We are back to our regular scheduled programming. Let me not tangent. So what I've noticed with this, because I think this is like the 5th cycle or so that I'm like really locked into this whole cycle syncing stuff. And for me and my experience, so I'm not saying this is for everybody, every woman's different and all their experiences are different. For myself, I feel like what happens, or like a way to work with my cycles, is to see what they're all teaching me or what they're all bringing me and the benefits that they all have. Even something like the late luteal phase, which is not the most enjoyable, but because I do feel like there's a beautiful reason and beautiful connection to the different phases of the cycles, right? And so closing out this last luteal and menstrual phase, I feel like my menstrual phase is when there's a lot of, actually, let me start with the luteal phase. I feel like what happens for me so far is that the luteal phase, especially the end of it, shows me what my brain is still, or what I'm still dissatisfied with, what I still want to change in my life, what I still feel or want to work on, if you want to word it that way. Like what's still not working. And then my menstrual phase, the beginning, there's a lot of like shedding of that energy, like releasing my attachment to that stuff, like mentally, like literally, where I'm like, my servers are coming back online a little bit and I'm like, okay, I detach from that stuff. Like it's fine, whatever. And then planning, I do start planning in my menstrual phase. I know like online, because I did look up some stuff about this too. And online, it's like the menstrual phase is not necessarily for planning. That's more like the follicular, but this is my experience and these are my cycles and whatever, right? I feel like in my menstrual phase in the beginning, like day 1 and 2 is more like just release and relax or whatever. And then I notice immediately figuring out new things that I want to do. Like I feel like I reinvent myself like every single month. I felt like that for a while. And now that's really standing really true. Of like, I just exited that luteal phase. I've now released my attachments and things to whatever's going on, whatever was highlighted in that phase. And then now I'm sitting here and thinking of the new things and the new actions that I want to take and the things I want to do about that information. And then the follicular and ovulation come, and that's when I'm doing it. That's when I'm like, have the most energy, I'm out and about. If there's anything that I need to do that's really physically, energetically intensive, so crowd facing, filming, dancing, like that type of stuff, I want to plan that for ovulation if I can. But anytime in the follicular is cool. But my follicular and my ovulation phase are the times where I'm like, I'm actually doing stuff. I'm doing the things that I just sat and planned in my menstrual phase. And then I do that, and then after that, the luteal phase comes back around, and the first half is just kind of like whatever, reflection and doing still, because the luteal phase is long, so I'm not going to lay around the whole luteal phase. It's like reflection, doing whatever, and then the second half of the luteal phase comes back, and then it's like a review. Like, okay, so now where are we at? You know, and how do we feel about what we've been doing? Are there things we want to change? What are we unhappy about? Not that that's conscious, that's just, I feel like, what the phase brings, so I'm just utilizing it. I'm like, okay, these are the things I'm clearly unhappy with: menstrual phase, shedding and planning, follicular phase, follicular ovulation, doing and solving, repeat. So that's kind of cool. Even though the luteal phase is not fun at all, I at least feel like it's a beautiful process. I think the whole cycle is a beautiful process and is designed this way for a reason, and I want to flow with it. I don't subscribe to like the way it's worded as like, oh, PMS or PMDD, like syndromes and disorders and stuff. I don't think it's, let me not even say it like that, but I'm just gonna say that I don't resonate with it. I don't resonate with just calling things disorders and syndromes just because they don't fit with a capitalistic way of existing. I feel like we do that for plenty of things that we label as disorders or wrong or ailments or problems or issues, when really this is the way we're supposed to flow with life, or this is the way that things actually are. It just doesn't fit a capitalistic way of doing things. So that's that. Next, I wanted to tell you about a cool synchronicity that just happened. I was invited to a community event by a friend, and it was basically exactly what I've been looking for and looking to create myself. In a way, it's not the same exact thing, but community, that's all I'm getting at here. Is I've been wanting to create community, and it was really nice to see like this event with other Black women and wellness and stuff at the park and chilling and all that good stuff. And that felt like a giant synchronicity because of what I've been saying, I've been looking for and calling in, and all of a sudden I'm in this place with a bunch of other people that resonate with this lifestyle, hold their own community things, attend these types of community things. So then I was able to make connections with other people that exist in this space. So that felt like a huge synchronicity. And then I ended up speaking to the woman that was hosting it. One, I didn't realize everybody there was her friends. I was like, damn girl, you got a lot of friends. I didn't realize everybody there was her friends. Oh, excuse me. I have a timer here now because I think I figured out that my camera shuts off at 30 minutes, and I looked up why. And so now, instead of constantly having to check over your shoulder, I can just look at my timer. But if it's gonna keep timing out, I'm gonna need to move closer. But yeah, I was talking to her, and I resonated with so much what she said just about her journey and feeling like stepping into her calling of holding community and things of that nature. Just to long story short that. And it made me think about what I just heard when I was talking to that woman on the plane. Remember I told you about two vlogs ago where I was talking to this woman, and we did a lot of, I don't want to say planning, good brainstorming together. And she helped me, put some things together. And she also read me for filth astrologically, which was really funny. That was really fun. And she was like, yeah, you would do really good in like community spaces and blah, blah, blah. That was just her opinion, her interpretation. I'm not saying just blindly follow strangers, but in that conversation, I really resonated with what she was saying because it was a lot of what I had already been kind of feeling. And so going to this event and then hearing that same message, why am I struggling to say that? Hearing that same message again of like, no, you would do good hosting community spaces. This is like something you really need to step into. And also that being paired with my like yearn for community. Like it's not, I say it all the time because it's not just like, oh, I want community, that'd be fun. Like I yearn, I long for community. Deeply. And I've, for a while, I want to argue my whole life, but I don't want to drag it. because it's been expressed differently and worded differently at different phases of my life. But just looking back now in review, I feel like that's what it's been the whole time, is really, really longing for community in my community. But I have for a very long time wanted to find these spaces. And so what I decided this week, so moving on to the decisions and changes that I'm actually making, is I've just decided that I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to create my own community. I'm calling it Soul Verge, and I'm going to host it bi-weekly. And hopefully people show up. It's gonna be here in LA. Hopefully people show up. And it's for, ideally, like, I want to bring together other Black women in wellness that are on their individual journeys and that are in this space of emotional wellness or emotional regulation or identity shifting or manifestation or just meeting other people in this space. I'm working on how I'm going to structure it right now, but I'm excited. This is my first time deciding to really host. But I feel like this is really the next step. I've been trying to do a lot of stuff online, and I love the communities and stuff that I have online, but I really want something in person and something real. It's like I love my TikTok community, for example, like the little girlies that I have in my, that comment or whatever. I see you. Oh my gosh, someone commented on one of my vlogs, I think it was last week. I see you and I appreciate you. And I want that to be so clear. Like, that's, I don't know, it's like community. It's like I love like responding to comments and there's people on the same page vibing and having a good time together. And so that's what I want. And I'm like, maybe I am really meant to be the one to create that space. Maybe I'm supposed to create this space that I've been looking for, you know? And so I even created an IG channel. I didn't know channels were just like free groups that people could just join so they can stay updated on stuff. I always thought it was like a paid for thing or something like back when they had IGTV forever ago, or I don't know. But I learned about those, so I created an IG channel so I can like share with my followers and stuff when I'm hosting the community event. And then that's also where I can put some of the like inspirational content I like to put on my story. And yeah, I've really been putting this into full force. I already have the RSVP up on my website, and I'm making a flyer with my friend today, later after this. Well, she already made it, but we're like solidifying it. And I'm just like, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I have been desiring. This is the space that I have been looking for. This is the calling I really do believe that I have. I've been said on here that my guides came to me, or ancestors or whoever, a while ago and made it very clear that you belong in this niche of like dance and wellness, emotional wellness, that niche. However that's expressed, I'm finding out along the journey. But they made that clear, which is why I haven't deviated from that ever since that moment that happened in my kitchen. And out that situation outside. Yeah. So ever since that's when I dropped all my other business ideas, like my little, like, I shouldn't call it like a little, but my budgeting business. And I had this idea of selling these planters that I made for my plants, and I dropped all of that because I was like, oh, okay, so this is my path. At least right now. That doesn't mean paths can't change or that there aren't multiple things and desires that a soul incarnates here with, but right now, the space that I'm in, the age that I'm at, that is what I believe my soul path to be. And so that's what I have been continuously exploring, and I feel like I am ready to step out and actually do more, to actually host. I did some guest speaking at some events, which was really nice, but it also put me in like a teacher role, and I'm not trying to present like I'm some sort of expert. Yes, I have been deep diving on this stuff for years. Yes, I do believe I have much I can share in the space of emotional regulation. That's why I made my guidebook. You know, I do feel like there's a lot of resources that I have, but what I'm desiring is community. I'm not trying to do like any type of hierarchy thing. I just want the gathering and the discussion and the communal growth. So yeah, girl, I'm excited about that. I would be lying if I didn't say I was a little nervous, because I am, but I'm excited. I'm just doing the thing. And so that's a decision that I made. That's a decision that I made when I was doing the planning and stuff in my menstrual phase. I'm like, okay, so this is how you feel about your community situation right now and your friendship situations right now, you know, and taking these steps and taking the action and doing it. Do the damn thing. And then with that, I took my own advice and started even adding more stuff to my calendar. Girl, I was watching this TikTok that I made and scheduled a while ago. Not that long ago, but a while ago, a few weeks ago. And I was watching it and I was like, I could even be doing that more. like watching my own video, like, you're right. And so I put more stuff on my calendar this week, like putting on my calendar my when I'm gonna film, which I was doing that already, but when I'm gonna film, when I'm gonna edit certain content, when I'm gonna make a playlist email list for my my affirmations playlist, because it's got like over 1,000, almost 2,000 saves, something crazy or whatever on Spotify. It's got a bunch of saves on Apple Music. I get notifications every single day. And I was like, I should make an email list that I put out once a month so I can highlight some new songs and some new artists that I've added to the playlist. And then sometimes there are artists that will actually pay to be added to your playlist, and I could also, like, some inexpensive. And then I could also have it to where I can feature them like in this monthly newsletter. And so this way people can see new songs that I've added, and then they can also see new artists that are really cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to move this. I don't want this, I want this time. And oh, I can move it right here. I have a little story. But yeah, you know, I put that on the calendar, and I'm also putting on my calendar now when I'm ovulating and when I'm in the last 5 days of luteal. I have the app that shows me, but I want on my physical calendar to know, because when I'm ovulating is when I'm filming, and I'm gonna like protect that. Like, I don't really want to waste that week or whatever. And then I also want to be more mindful of my late luteal phase and what I'm putting there, and stop thinking that I can just easily overwrite it. Like, I can, because I'm a conscious human being and I'm more than my hormones. But I also feel like it's probably best to stay inside and maybe be more mindful of the amount of energy I'm exerting, and also mindful of how much rest and nutrition I'm getting before that comes, so that my body has more energy to deal with that phase and what comes with it. All that good stuff. So mindful of what I have in the house too, in terms of cravings and my sleep and stuff. Like, I just want it on the calendar at least. And if I can schedule something outside of that, then I will, kind of thing. So yeah, adding more stuff to the calendar this week. It's been great. And also being flexible though, like moving things when you feel like things should be moved. I feel like people think when I say adding stuff to the calendar that it has to be so rigid and a certain time slot. Like, I don't know. All I put is, and I just click all day on the calendar feature because I don't know what time. And then I just put like film maybe after this, after you leave here, or film whatever. And then when those days come, then I'll kind of organize around it and whatever. Like, it's soft, but it's still there so that it happens. You get what I'm saying? Things don't have to be rigid just to be organized, you know? Okay, next I wanted to talk about interpreting my dreams. I've been doing that for a while now. I'm gonna, all transparency, hands up, all transparency, I have used chat to help me with dream interpretation. I did use a Reddit thread before, where they interpret dreams, but then nobody responds. And which is okay, like, bish, I get it. Long ass dreams, long ass paragraphs. But I'm also not saying to blindly just accept ChatGPT's interpretation of your dream, but chat is at least able to pull like well-known trends that you would find on like Google or whatever, like when things like dogs appear in dreams, or I don't experience this, but if you know, like teeth falling out is a common one, or falling, or like common dream themes, it can kind of clock those and clock patterns. And I also go with what my own knowing is first too, though, and like my communication with my guides. So it's really, it's a team effort, but all transparency, because I fully understand and agree with the controversy around chat and that. But moving forward, I do believe my dreams have been deeply symbolic, and I've had a lot of divine guidance through my dreams. And at least that's how I interpret it. It can be interpreted so many ways, from like a scientific way, a spiritual way, a conscious way, whatever. This is just what I believe and what I resonate with. And what I noticed this past week was really interesting. And I had this dream that at face value would be disturbing, because I think any like birthing style dreams can be disturbing, because I ain't having no kid. But I had this dream of basically like I was giving birth, which it wasn't. I feel like there are many times in dreams where there's often just like I know what's going on, even though the camera's not showing that. Like if you think of like the camera being like my point of view in the dream, because I'm like watching the dream. I feel like my dreams happen in the morning a lot of times when I'm not in a deep sleep, but I'm not awake. And I'm close to that liminal space, of which they say is like powerful for the subconscious and stuff. And so it's like the camera's not showing like the childbirth taking place or anything like that, but I kind of know that that's taking place. But I have a very good sense of the surroundings and my body and how I'm physically feeling in my physical body, in my body, and like the dream. But it's not a lucid dream. I can't really control it, and I'm not super aware that I'm dreaming. It's like outside of the dream body, I in my real life have a very tiny, subtle awareness in the background that I'm dreaming, but not enough for me to actually know that I'm dreaming. And then definitely not enough for my dream self to know that I'm dreaming. It's just weird. And so, yeah, it's the focus was really on a few themes of one, and birthing dreams, sorry, I already sidetracked. Birthing dreams can sometimes be very symbolic of like new identities and transformation and things like that. There's multiple things, but just what I'm kind of focusing on for my own. And that was taking place. And then there was the situation of I was being told to like push and force, and that wasn't like getting the baby out. And then when I softened and relaxed, that's what did, like, then everything just flowed easy, blah, 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 right? Just long story short. And in my dream, I was aware of the conscious knowledge that I'd learned in my waking life of how that's like how we're supposed to actually give childbirth and blah, blah, blah. That's a tangent. But that and how I felt also, how I feel physically in these dreams matters a lot, like my physical state. And so that felt deeply symbolic. And I remember that happened at the same time when I had made these decisions in my life. Like, I'm going to make my community. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Like, I'm sitting in my waking life the day before or 2 days before, whatever, writing a whole brand new me. Once again, new month, new me. And then I had that dream. And that's the first time I've had that dream of that style. But every time I've gone through other identity transformations in my waking life, where I'm like, here I am sketching a brand new me, new month, then I have a dream similar to that, of a similar theme of like a birthing of a new me, in a way. Not a birthing dream, but other dream symbolisms of the same message, right? And then I also noticed that when I was going through the issues with like friendships and I was grieving a friendship, when I was going through that and stuff recently, and I remember that I had these dreams of dogs like attacking their owners. And again, the camera wasn't showing that. I don't consume anything graphic or vulgar in real life. So I feel like that's why my dreams are never graphic or vulgar. But there's a knowing of what's happening, if that makes sense. And I remember that was that was kind of like disturbing, that situation to me of like the dogs are attacking their owners. And I've had dogs appear in my dreams often. So my dreams, there's a consistent symbolism behind dogs representing like loyalty and things like that. And symbolism of cars, of like journeying and me, where I'm going in life and stuff like that. Who's driving the car being symbolic. I've had some consistency there and others. I've had consistency with some other dream themes, but these are the ones I'm like focusing on for today. And I found it interesting how I had that dogs betraying their owner's dream when I felt kind of betrayed in my waking life. And then there was another dream with dogs. Oh yeah, when I had all these different breeds of dogs coming into my home and I was so happy they were here and welcoming and stuff. And that's when I was transitioning in my waking life of how I felt with my friendships and things changed with my friendships. I'm yapping about all this to show you like these are the trends that I'm identifying, and this is my experience with dream interpretation, and these are some dreams that I have, and maybe you could explore some consistency that you may see in your dreams, trends, whatever. And then the last one for the dreams I wanted to bring up was 2 days ago. So I had decided on my community stuff, right? I'd been doing that and I was doing my work or whatever. And then I decided I wanted to get up all my dance content. I have a dance page. I should plug that. I might plug that here. I have a dance page where I post my pole dancing. And I was like, I want to schedule all this content because I just want to get this up so I can take care of this so I can do whatever. And I was just editing all day. I wasn't giving myself my brain the breaks I know it needed. My dopamine feels like fried right now. I am fiending for a dopamine fast. I'm so excited. After I do this filming, I'm going to schedule something and then I'm not looking at social media for 2 solid days. The way this impacts my sleep, I didn't realize how much like the phone stuff and dopamine stuff impacts your sleep. Like they say it does, but it's crazy now to actually see it. Anyways, that's a tangent. I was overworking myself. I knew I was, but I was like, I just want to get this done. And then that was being reflected in my dream. And there was the theme of like, I had too much stuff in my car, and then I had some friends and family members trying to put stuff in my car, and I was like, okay, well, there's not enough space, but whatever. And then I was driving, and then for some reason I made this like U-turn on the wrong side of the road, but I was safe. My body was still like calm and stuff. I pulled over, and then I remember I got out the car like, what is going on? Why did I make that U-turn right there? And like, am I under the influence? Like, what is happening? I was, and it was so crazy when I sat and interpreted that dream and saw like, that's so reflective of my waking life right now. Like and I asked my guides for guidance before that dream. If I want a message from them specifically, then I will ask them the night before. And getting proper rest and all those types of factors that just go with our bodies will influence the likeliness of me remembering the dream. And first of all, I also believe what stands out to you the most is important. Like if you wake up, you're like, oh, I don't remember the whole dream, but this part is really like, focus on that. Pay attention to that. There's a reason that that's being like highlighted to you, in my opinion, in my experience. But yeah, and I like to ask them specifically, it's like, what is something that I need to hear right now? Or what is a message I need to receive right now or whatever? And I asked that before that whole dream, and I was like, I feel like I already know it's going to be, you're doing too much. And you're not giving your brain the proper rest. So you can interpret that as like spiritual guidance, or you can interpret that as our brains naturally use it. Because there was a dream interpretation guy, I saw a video about it, and how he was like, the brain uses metaphors to help process and figure stuff out, essentially. A long story short. So you can see it as that. You can see it as divine guidance. You can see it as whatever. Nonetheless, it's interesting, and I see trends, and I do see some consistency. And so I share that because just if you're someone that is interested in dream interpretation or you're curious about any of the validity of it, I'd say explore it for yourself. I've been exploring it for about a year and some change now. And I do feel that it helps me. And it helps me see where my brain is at with certain concepts and integration of new identities, especially that. Like if I'm integrating new beliefs and a new way of being. It's like when stuff starts to appear in my dreams, it's like, okay, this is marinating. This is getting in there. You know what I mean? I remember when I had a dream and like my brain or myself in the dream like used some of my like regulation stuff that I was learning and doing in real life. And now in my dreams I see all the time, like if there's a stressor or a moment of stress, I have that same reaction of like remain calm, whatever. Once I started seeing that in the dream, I was like, whoa, because I used to have dreams where I was always being chased or lost. And that was common, where I was like always lost. And it was like physically, I felt it in my physical body of like the distress. And it's so cool to see like how that shifted as I shifted my beliefs in my waking life. Like they're parallel. And it really does give me insight into like, okay, is this like setting in? I think I heard something about that too when people are like learning new languages. It's like when you start dreaming in that language, it's like, oh, you learning the language for real. Like, you know. Anyways, girl. Lastly, I wanted to touch on how much action it takes. So in my opinion, in my experience, given my own journey. So everybody's different. You figure out your own stuff. But from what I've learned with this whole laws of the universe and how the universe works and what's going on, I heard a quote that I think sums it up perfectly. And nature rewards the relaxed, not the lazy. So I was going through a phase on this journey where I was like, oh, I thought all I had to do was relax. Like, I'm so frustrated. I'm not getting any money. Nothing's happening. Like, I thought like we're supposed to be aligned and relaxed and stuff. Like, I'm chilling around the house. Like, that's what I'm doing. You know, I do stuff when I feel like it. And it's like, I think we misinterpret relaxed for like not doing anything, because a lot of us are overworked and we do need a break. So when we're like, oh, I just need to relax, and we take that like super literal. And I think for at least for myself, I did need a period of like doing nothing. But I feel like what it really is source energy is flowing through us. It's like we have our desires, whatever. It already exists. Remember we talked about last week how everything's a vibration, everything's a reflection. So it already exists. The more relaxed we are, the more energy can efficiently flow through our nervous system. And that's woo-woo aside, that part, because some of this is just if you believe in the woo-woo stuff, because I'm with it all. But woo-woo aside, that's just nervous system stuff, right? And and you can also increase your capacity and increase how much activity your body and nervous system can handle. So that source energy is coming in and it's flowing through you. And when you're in flow state, you're doing your art or whatever it is where you lock in, no thoughts, flow state. That's when that's like, I feel like max output, you know what I mean? Like you're flowing. But even just in your day-to-day life, this energy is flowing through. You're getting your intuitions, you're getting your nudges, you're following your emotional nudges or whatever to do stuff in your life, to actually physically do things, because you are the catalyst, you're the converter for what brings stuff into the material along with things around you. So this energy is not just coming through you and you have to do everything, but you're a part of it. You're a part of the creation. And I feel like it's not helpful. The design is not for us to just lay around and stuff just appear in front of us. I believe source energy wants this experience, and it's experiencing through you. And so you do have to put in this stuff, and it doesn't have to be overworking yourself, and it doesn't have to be hustle. You already know I ain't no hustler. Those days are in the past. But I felt like, oh, well, I just want to do, like back before when I didn't get it. It's like, well, I just want to do what feels good. I thought I was just supposed to do what feels good. Accomplishing things does feel good. Accomplishing your goals and aligning with what you actually like does feel good. It feels good working on my community stuff. It feels good working on anything in my niche of what I've learned to be my soul path. That's also why I've really locked in on that. Because action in this area doesn't feel like hard work, doesn't feel like, doesn't feel like, all right, well, this is what I gotta do. It's like the video I made a long time ago on TikTok on how to figure out your soul path and stuff, or figure out what business it is you need to focus on, or figure out whatever it is you need to focus on. If you were able to talk to God one-on-one, if you're, or whoever, divine sort, whatever, if you're able to talk to them one-on-one and tell them what you want, and they're going to say yes to whatever it is. So if you're like, hey, I want business option A to work, they're like, okay, cool, bet it's going to work out. So go ahead and go back to earth and start doing, walking in that path, and I'll make sure everything falls in line. What is it that wouldn't feel like, ugh? If they said business option A will work out, are you coming back and it's like, oh, well, I'm glad it's going to work out, but damn, I don't feel like working on these planters? Or is it, dang, I'm so glad this is going to work out and I could just focus on this? You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that everything feels good or that it's not, it doesn't feel kind of like, ugh, to do some things. It's like, I love being in the community, emotional wellness niche and stuff, but physically typing stuff, like when I was making my guidebook, the physical typing does kind of feel like, ugh, I can yap about this all day. I can do so much involving this all day, but physically typing and feeling like I'm in school again, it's like, ugh. So that doesn't mean that there's nothing that's gonna feel kind of like, ugh. At least in my opinion, in my experience. But overall, it should feel good to walk in the path that you are most aligned with. I want to tangent to something so bad because I have so much to say on this, but I'm gonna stay here with you. I also feel like that's why they say it's easy, and they're like, manifestation is easy or should be easy or flow easy, because you're taking the path of least resistance, and the path of least resistance is easiest. That doesn't mean there's zero resistance. It just means it's the least resistance. You get what I'm saying? I guess that's kind of why, I guess that connects to what I was saying earlier with like, maybe some things can be kind of like, ugh, I have to type this, But the overall path should feel very easy in what you want to do. And if you don't know what you want to do yet and don't really know what your path is yet, that's okay too. And to keep giving yourself grace and just trying things out and following what brings you the most joy in the present moment. What are you focused on or most focused on right now? And what feels like the best next step? I don't think too far ahead. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know for sure where I'm gonna go with this emotional wellness stuff. I've got plans, I've got long-term plans, medium plans, short-term plans, but there's a lot of gray area. But I always say I'm just focused on the now. And I don't sweat and over stress myself about the future and the time that I'm on, the time constraint, if you want to say it like that I'm on, just what's the next best step, and to take that. And I feel like that's what's helped me get to figuring out what my path is, at my current path is in the niche I want to be in right now, is learning what I want and don't want. I thought I wanted that budgeting business to pop off, and I still use my budget. I'm gonna use that budget for however long. I've been using that budget for years. It's solid, it's really good. But I was like, I don't really feel like or want to make budgeting content and talk about budgeting all the time, Or like my dance business, I'd love for that to pop off. I can go either way with that. Like, cool, but I don't want to really be booked for events and lugging that giant ass pole all the time and having to, what if I'm booked for an event and it's like my late luteal phase? You know what I mean? Like, I really sat with myself and was like, with my different options, it was like, if this popped off tomorrow, you got everything you want, is that the dream? If this popped off tomorrow, you got everything you want, is that the dream? And I wouldn't have been able to get to the place I am now, where I'm like, okay, this is what I want. At least this is what I want right now. I wouldn't have been able to get to this and the understanding of this is my current soul path without going through the learning what I want and don't want. And being able to forgive myself and change course without being like hard on myself. You know what I mean? I know that was a little all over the place, but I hope that makes sense. I think the most important thing to do is to not stress yourself out. Focus on the present. Focus on what you can do next, what brings you the most joy next. Obviously, in a way that's as practical as possible, because when you're working a 9-to-5, obviously that's a lot harder. That's a big reason that I ended up quitting, is just because I was like, outside of this job, I am really good at holding my vibration or holding myself together, but this job is the only thing that's just messing me up, man. Yeah, focusing on those things and taking action when and as often as you can, being disciplined with your craft and yourself and your vessel, taking care of your body, giving yourself self-love, self-forgiveness, and building comfort in the unknown, I think has also helped me a lot too. I've done that a few different ways. And I mean, girl, you're talking to me today in December in my follicular phase on a good day. The mood varies. Just keep showing up for yourself regardless of where you're at in your journey, and do your best and just figure stuff out when you get there. I've really adopted that saying of I'll figure it out when I get there. And it's actually really nice. Now that I've at least got my nervous system to be more comfortable in the unknown where I'm at now, at least like so often where if there's something we're trying to figure out or something's happening or gonna come up, I'm like, man, I'll figure that out when I get there. Like, I toss that up to the universe. Like, all right, girl. I know this one was a little all over the place, but I hope it resonated. Maybe I'll try to clean it up when I edit. That last vlog, girl, that was an hour. I chopped that down to 30 minutes. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. I'm gonna go eat some food, and I'll see you next week, girl.